Hello, Cleveland, and welcome back to another edition of the Dogland Podcast. I am Jackson McCurry, your host today, and joining me again as we continue our off-season roster deep dive is Jack Duffin of the Dogland.com. Jack, how's things going, bud?
It's good. Just really looking forward to it. Lots going on. It's just an exciting time. So many different directions. It's pretty much unique for the Browns in terms of an off season. We all remember the year Baker got drafted. The entire year was about a discussion between four players. It was like, which of these four quarterbacks are you going to draft? And that was it. There was nothing else to discuss. We remember last season, it was pretty much who's going to be your two offensive tackles? Which one we want in free agency? Which one of these? Was it 5 in the draft? 4 in the draft? 4. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was so long ago. And whereas this season, it's like you've got 74 different ways which way you're going. And there's just so much going on. So it's fascinating from my perspective, and that's why it's so much more fun to sort of have these discussions than we've ever had before, because legitimately everything's on the table.
Yeah, I mean, each off season is so unique, and the 14 years that I've been like so committed to the Browns and watching everything they do, it's like each one is so fascinating, whether it's a winning season or a losing season. Obviously, we're coming off a winning season, and now it's like, okay, we have the quarterback, we have our foundational pieces. How are we going to turn out tool the rest of this roster? And thankfully, we're not Andrew Berry, Paul DePodesta, and Kevin Stefanski, because I feel like we'd probably need some committed to an insane asylum trying to figure out the rest of this roster. But we're trying our best to try to break all this down. Obviously, like I said on Monday's episode when we reviewed the quarterback room, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the next month, we are going to break down the roster position on or position a roster group or position group on the roster. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out with Jack. Jack's written some fantastic work and continues to do so for the Dogland. So on today's episode, we are going to look at running backs and fullbacks, which I know that position is near and dear to Jack's heart. He absolutely loves running backs. So I'm sure he was giddy when he was writing this article over the last week or so. So Jack, when you look at this position, and we're tying running backs and fullbacks together because they're in the same room, you say on average there's 4.3 running backs / fullbacks on the roster, and the Browns had 4 this season. 5 if you want to include Johnny Stan, who was on the practice squad, but we had Nick Chubb, we had Kareem Hunt, we had Dearness Johnson, we had Dontrell Hilliard for a little bit, but he was on the practice squad, and then I think someone picked him up, and then obviously we had Janovich and Stan at the fullback position. Jack, when you look at this room, it is one of the more intriguing rooms on the Browns roster, I would say. You have 2 all-pro caliber running backs, and then you have a fullback who is one of the best in the league, and then you have other guys that are just there for depth. So when you're looking at this position right now, how do you think the Browns value it, and how do you think you would value it if you were running an NFL franchise?
Yeah, so just from sort of a high level, forget all the players that are in the room. How does a team that uses a fullback look at this room and how they're going to structure it? So you've got your starting running back, you've then got a third down back, you've then got sort of your young sort of 50% special teams, 50% upside that they could potentially jump into one of those 2 roles above, but the special teams is a big part there. And then you've got your fullback. And that's basically your 4 spots. It's really only likely to be 4 because they need the extra space for O-line. They need the extra space for tight ends because of Stefanski. So you're pretty much tied into 4. This front office, I remember the Andrew Berry interview last week. Mary Kay was saying, hey, what's your views on the whole running backs don't matter thing? And Andrew Berry pretty much said, running backs don't matter. And it was glorious. It was amazing. I was jumping with joy. I was goading on Twitter. He didn't explicitly say it, but I was expecting him to bite back on Mary Kay. And he said, yeah, we don't really view things the same way the league does. And that to me went, Yeah, we're all on board. Running backs don't matter. And I think it just jumps back to the sort of article I wrote a couple of weeks ago now on sort of how do you split the veterans out over the team. And for me, you're pretty much looking at two high price vets, two mid price vets, and one sort of cheaper vet. And how that for me sort of breaks down is you've obviously got Baker there. Your two higher priced ones are generally going to be a tackle and a wide receiver. Your mid price guys, one on the interior of the O line and a tight end because of the way Stefanski plays. And then your third one is pretty much a do anything. So it could be O line, it could be an extra wide receiver, it could be an extra tight end, it could be a running back. So it could even be a backup quarterback if you wanted to go that route. I don't think we would. So if you're talking about a sort of someone here long term, it's in that sort of 3 to 5 million range. It's not in a massive superstar running back, because if you're paying a superstar running back, that means you've got to have both tackles on cheap rookie deals. And that's probably not where we're going to be at. We could do it as a team, but I can't see you keeping Nick Chubb and getting rid of Jack Conklin or Jedrick Wills or someone like that after their deals run out. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love running backs, I get that the league doesn't value it as much as, fans do, for sure. Like fantasy football, running backs are first round picks. You want to draft them high. But when it comes to paying them, I'm looking at the board here. I think there's only 6 or 7 running backs that make more than $10 million a year.